and welcome to another episode of Talking Bollocks. Yes, it is I, your host, Howard H. Smith. I am here to bring you all of the best interviews on the internet and on heavy metal podcasts. Feel free to subscribe. Hello, it's nice to be here. I am indeed Howard H. Smith. I also sing in UK thrash band Acid Rain, and I also perform stand-up comedy as the character Keith Platt. You can check all that out, and feel free to find Talking Bollocks on all social media, although the Bollocks is usually spelt with a Z on the end. There's also a YouTube channel where you will be able to find all of the podcasts. Sometimes you'll be able to find video versions, and there will be some videos coming up soon of interviews that I have done that aren't released yet. There is exciting times at Talking Bollocks Towers, folks. There is all sorts to get excited about. Now, in the description of this podcast, in your player, there will be a phrase that says, support this podcast. And if you click on it, it goes straight to Patreon. Now, Patreon is where you can sign up for $5 a month or $6 if you want the full bollocks, and you get all sorts. You get a chance to give me questions to ask exclusively of your heroes that I get on the podcast. You get a live podcast on Zoom once a month. You get all sorts of bits and pieces. You get this podcast early. Honestly, there's loads of stuff there. If you want to sign up, click that link and do it. And I promise not to mention it again in the podcast. Well, I promise, but I might break that promise because, as you all know, I'm a bit unreliable / egotistical / a twat. So, hello, how are you? How's it going? What you doing? Where you been? Well, I'll tell you what I've been up to. Not a lot, like the rest of you, but there's been a lot going on in the world of metal in the last couple of weeks since we spoke. So, the major thing that has to be covered has got to be the 35th anniversary of Master of Puppets. I mean, what an album. What an album. Although you can't please everyone, can you? Did a birthday tribute on the Acid Rain social media, and there was a comment on there, can't believe how overrated this album is. Which, hey, if you don't like it, that's absolutely... no, we don't all like the same thing. Obviously, if you don't like it, fair enough. But overrated? Really? Really? I mean, we're celebrating its 35th anniversary. That's it. Some people clearly do rate it. But anyway, let's not dwell on the negative. Let's dwell on the positive. How awesome is that album? To me, it's a perfect album. And it is still a thrash album. And I love the production, again, not everyone's favourite, can be a bit muddy, but it's the songs, it's the quality, and it's also, let's be honest, the last album with Cliff. And it was going to be the last album with any bass on, obviously, until Load. The Black Album. Dear me, what am I going on about? Head's broken. What can I say? But anyway, happy birthday to Master of Puppets. Go on, let's do it, shall we? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Master of Puppets. Happy birthday to you, and many more. Well, there'll obviously be many more because it exists. It's not going to disappear. So that out of the way, that metal milestone noted. Where do we go next? Well, where we go next is I thought this was a rather refreshing comment from Blaze Bailey, who was talking about his exclusion from Iron Maiden in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and his response was, well, it's not the decision of the band. It's nothing to do with Iron Maiden, and it's nothing to do with Iron Maiden's management. So it's all the people who run the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The most important thing to me is my friendship with the guys in Iron Maiden and still being friends after so many years. And I just thought, yeah, do you know what? That is absolutely lovely. Instead of people bitching and moaning that they should have been invited, or I should have played, and, well, why didn't they? Absolutely, that absolutely sums it up. I think that's perfect. And a mark of the man who is clearly a very, sensitive, sensible individual. And the exact opposite of that would be ex-AC/DC drummer Simon Wright, who said, "My phone didn't ring at all when they needed a drummer for the Rock or Bust tour." Well, firstly, Simon, if your phone didn't ring at all, maybe it's broken. If you didn't have any phone calls, maybe your phone doesn't work. Obviously, I'm being facetious. But dude, you left the band in 1989. What? I mean, why would they ring you? I mean, just if you're listening to this and you were alive in 1989, right? As I'm thinking, probably a lot of you were. Well, if you suddenly, let's say, split up with your wife or husband, would you suddenly go, "Hey, do you know what? That guy or girl I was with in 1989, yeah, they're the person that I want to be with now. They're the person I'm going to get them in my life." I mean, really, Simon Wright seems to be the only person who is surprised by this. Although, he crowbars it in, and he uses the classic line. Yeah, he starts off by saying, "A lot of people have asked me about that." Really, Simon? I mean, I'm not calling you a liar, but I reckon a lot of people could potentially be none. But hey, there you go. There you go. Next story. Now this is awesome and is linked to the podcast as well. There is a full-length documentary on the making of Life of Agony's most recent album, The Sign of Scars, which is the follow-up to River Runs Red. Now, interestingly, at least for me, is that the project is run by UK director Lee Brooks. So, of course, straight away, I was straight onto him, and he's emailed me back and said, "Yeah, great. So, really looking forward to." And that could be interesting, actually, because that could end up being that could be the absolute perfect mix of movie bollocks and talking bollocks. So it could actually be talking movie bollocks. I'm not sure how that's gonna work out, and I don't normally, trailer who I've got coming up for you guys. There is the biggest guest I've ever had coming very, very soon. But anyway, look, Lee's going to come on, talk about it. I can't wait. I think that should be absolutely fascinating, and I'm sure a fair amount of you guys will be absolutely into that. And even if you're not, just the filming and the logistical side and everything that goes on behind it, I'm really looking forward to doing that. So more news on that as and when it happens. So I saw this article and I thought, do you know what? They're right. This was a comment by Epica's singer Simone Simons, who says there is more pressure on female musicians to always look good and be in the best of shape. And do you know what? That is absolutely undeniable. That is undeniable. I mean, here's a name from the past. If anybody ever saw Dumpy's Rusty Nuts, yeah, I don't think any of them were ever in anything other than completely wrecked shape. And if you think about it as well, some of the older bands, and hey, I'm 50, yeah, I'm not having a go. If anything, I'm having a go at contemporaries, but playing guitar, with their guts hanging out and all the rest of it, and it's that's fine. That's fine. Some big, fat, sweaty old bloke on stage, oh yeah, that's just accepted. But if it was a woman, if it was a female band, there's a certain amount of judgment there, isn't there? There is a sort of, they've let themselves go. I mean, to be fair, I think the very same thing about any, some bands when you see them, carrying a little bit of extra timber on this tour, aren't they? I guess we all do it, don't we? We all do it. We all. Whether rightly or wrongly, there is a tendency to judge books by their covers, to remark on people's appearances. It does happen. I'm 5'5". I'm 50 years old, and I've spent probably 49 of those years getting at least some comments about my height every year. That's what we do as human beings. but it doesn't make it right. And I thought it was a perfectly sensible comment to make. Unfortunately, all it does is really highlight the fact that, you know, metal is no different to the rest of society, and that, you know, those same attitudes exist within a music scene. Again, that is hardly surprising because, you know, music scenes, football crowds, you name it, they are just a reflection of society because it's made up of citizens of that society. This is getting very deep, isn't it? I think I'm going to go before I say something really fucking stupid, which is just likely. I mean, you know, look, regular listeners know what I'm talking about, and it's probably best I shut up. Anyway, next up was Dee Schneider. Has got another solo album coming out, which I can't wait for because I love the sound of metal. It was awesome, but. He's on this. There's a duet with Cannibal Corpse's George Corpse Grinder Fisher. I mean, I've got no idea what this is going to sound like. I mean, just the concept is pretty insane. But yeah, I mean, I'm just like, really? Corpse Grinder? This could be either one of the best or worst things that I hear this year. It really could be. And along those lines of talking of things that we've heard this year, here are some things to flag up. The new album by The Crown, which is getting some serious play. I mean, I've only gone through it a couple of times, but I you know, there it is. Hey, there you are, isn't it? Hey, listen to that. It's just, yeah, it's really good, basically. And from my point of view, to be able to follow up Cobra Speed Venom with anything that doesn't sound second rate is a real achievement, because it is ultimately, I mean, that album is an absolute killer, but this one is definitely got the capability to be right up there. It is called Royal Destroyer. It is out now, so, you know, get stuck in. A mention for Cryptosis as well. Cryptosis, their album is coming out very soon. I think it's the 26th of March. I mean, you know, I should know, really, shouldn't I? Yes, it is the 26th of March. Is it? Yeah. Oh wow. I'm actually recording this on the 12th, so it's 2 weeks today. Ta-da! But yeah, Bionic Swarm. Check out. Go to Cryptosis. .net, I think it is, and you will be. I'm getting pretty blown away by it now. I've passed that threshold of listens where it's really starting to kick home now, and I'm really liking it. And I will have Cryptosis, at least. Well, I'll have Frank, the bass player, coming up in a future episode. So yeah. Get a listen if you like your thrash. That would be my tip for the week. And also, there's another album, but I'll get onto that in a bit. Well, no, I'll mention it while I'm here. Enforced, Kill Grid, growing on me with each play. I'll be honest, I wasn't sure about it at the time when I first got it. And then a few plays, and it's seeping into my addled brain, and it's definitely growing on me. And funnily enough, then I got contacted by the label, and I ended up having a huge chat with Knox from Enforced, which you are going to hear in a bit. But before I go there, I've got to mention, and regular listeners, you'll be aware of this, we've actually got Gene, yes, that's right, Gene Simmons, yet again, pronouncing Rock is Dead. This is brilliant. On Blabbermouth, right, there's a story, Gene Simmons says Rock is dead again. Then there's another news story, and then underneath it, there's Paul Stanley saying Rock definitely isn't dead. And then you scroll up a little bit more, and there's a story that says Paul Stanley on Gene Simmons, we've never been closer than we are now. And it's just hilarious. It really is. Gene is determined to keep plugging one of the most worn-out cliches in the history of rock and metal, which is rock being dead or metal being dead. I mean, I've mentioned before my age. When I was a teenager, is rock dead? It was a thing then. It's still going. It's clearly not dead. It's clearly unkillable because you can't kill a genre of music, Gene. It exists. It cannot be dead. Yeah? I mean, I'm looking at a wall full of CDs. I've got AC/DC Back in Black. Yeah? That's a rock album. How do I kill it, Gene? How do I kill that? If rock is dead, that CD is dead. Yeah? I mean, it was never alive in the first place. It's a genre of music that is already there. So I'm not quite sure what you're talking about, you badly drawn toy gorilla. Honestly, what is it with that man? Alice Cooper even said it. He said, yeah, so, you know, I'd probably, something along the lines of, I'd rather Gene did my taxes than comment on rock music. In other words, he's a businessman more than he is a musician. And I very nearly said magician. But and that says it all, really. I mean, I think basically Gene is saying rock is dead because you can't sell fucking 10 million albums anymore, basically. So to him, rock is dead. But for the rest of us, believe it or not, Gene, it is alive and kicking. Alive? It's alive and kicking. So just calm down, eh? Why would Gene need to calm down when I'm clearly getting so exercised about it all? And yet again, I've got Gene and Paul on the podcast. Well, obviously I haven't got them on, but, you know, there I am mentioning them again, giving them the oxygen of publicity. But hey, what the hell? You know, it's Kiss, isn't it? Some people like it, some people don't. Me, not a fan. You know this. I know this. It's just piss weak radio rock. That's the best description I have heard of Kiss. Piss weak radio rock. And that is how it sounds. It really, really does. And somebody tried to convince me that there is some good Kiss stuff, and they flagged up some songs, played just bollocks, just rubbish. Essentially, just really poppy, really, really commercial. I'm going on about Kiss. What am I doing? You fucking idiot, Howard. You fucking idiot. You don't like them. They get it. Stop mentioning them. Stop bringing it up, you fucking dickhead. Good point. I will shut the fuck up and let's move on to something a little bit more positive. Yes, let's. And that positivity is my chat with Knox from Enforced. This was really, really cool. As you will have already seen from the length of this podcast, this is a longer one than usual. And when it dropped, you might have thought, I wonder why that's so long. Well, the reason is that sometimes when I'm doing these podcasts, sometimes you just click with somebody. And that's what happened here. Now, you know, I've been doing this quite a while now. 2014 when I started out. So in the 7th year, and this has happened, I can count the times this has happened on one hand. And this was one of those times where two singers, yeah, that's right, of course, it's bound to be a singer, isn't it? Two singers just completely and totally just clicked. And we ended up having a really long conversation that we both really enjoyed. I mean, it was just, yeah, it was thoroughly enjoyable. And I loved doing this. I really, really did. I mean, I had to also apologise to the press department of the label the following day. And you'll find out why at the end. But yeah, it was really enjoyable. I'm not going to go on about it anymore. Instead, here is Knox and I having a big old conversation just a couple of weeks ago. No worries, man. We're all good. I am recording. And let me give you some information. So, Knox, nice to meet you.
Absolutely.
My name's Howard. I sing in UK thrash metal band Acid Rain. We've been around.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, we've been around since fucking, a long time.
Right.
And much like yourselves, old school kind of crossover shit. And we quit. I did stand up for 25 years, which I still do when there's not a global pandemic, and brought the band back in 2015 and stuff. And I've been doing this podcast for about 6 or 7 years.
Nice. You're a veteran on all levels.
Oh, dude, I am. That's such a nice way of saying I'm an old cunt.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna say it. You're a real scrappy one. Okay.
That's
thrash metal stand-up podcast. I got a good idea for what this guy's like.
Cool. And so, look, the next half hour, the idea is we just have a chat, man, because you're gonna get plenty of why do you use that producer and what's your favorite song to play live. So let's just we can just talk.
Dude, I really appreciate that. Yeah. That's cool. I have no problem talking about anything, but it is nice to just have a really cool conversation.
Yeah, it's nice. Well, look at this as half an hour off. Okay,
excellent, because I got another half hour coming.
But having said that, I mean, this must be a bit of a buzz. You're doing worldwide press for the release of your new album on Century Media. That's got to be a pretty cool experience.
At first, it seemed so daunting because I think we started doing press around January 10th or something like that. And it's been at minimum at least 5 a week since. I mean, sometimes a 10. And sometimes we double book time. So now Will and I do all the interviews, but he's got to go do 3. I have to go do 3 different ones that are all at the same time. So when we first started, we were doing them together in my room. And then once the gears really started turning, we were like, dude, this is impossible. We have full-time jobs. We can't drop everything. Cause we were having them at 10 in the morning, noon. I'm just like, dude, he's a painter, like a house painter. And I do handyman carpentry and plumbing and electrical and stuff. I was like, I can't drop everything I'm doing to run back to my work van and sit on the phone for 3 hours. I was like, so 3 to 4, or 3 to 5. That's it. Cause that's all we can really handle.
Yeah. And that's a treadmill, and you want to kind of enjoy this, not be burned out after
See, at first it just seemed like, dude, this will never end. I will never get a break when I get home. This is gonna be awful. But now that I've gotten used to it, I kind of like it because I get to talk to everybody from I'll talk to someone from Estonia, then I'll get off the phone and I'll talk to someone in Bolivia, then I'll get off the phone and talk to someone in Brazil, and then I'll talk to someone in Toronto. I'm just like, this is awesome. I'm really being kind of a little dickhead about all this. This is a really cool opportunity, and I'm kind of shitting all over it.
Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes, things aren't. I can understand. Put it that way. I can understand it.
I'm just not used to it. This is the first time I've ever had to do anything like this. So I'm just like, I mean, I figured I was gonna have to do a few interviews, but I think I'm at 70 now, something close to that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, that is a lot. And the thing is, I know myself, having we put an album out in 2019, and I know myself that after a while you're like, oh, this question again, excellent. I can go onto autopilot.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Will's been so busy with work that he's like, I can't do any, so I have to do them all. But we've done so many together that I know what his answers are. So he was like, hey man, can you like, I know I'm supposed to do this one, but can you like do double duty and do two quick 15-minute ones back to back? I'm like, yeah, I already know what you're gonna say. Like, I and it's cool because doing them together and hearing his answers and responses, I kind of feel a lot closer to him now, because we don't really talk. No one talks like that to one another.
Yeah.
Like in an interview kind of back and forth Q&A way. So I don't know what he's thinking about any of the stuff that gets brought up originally. But after a while, I'm like, oh, wow, that's how you thought of that? Or like, that's what you think about all this? I'm like, okay, like that. Wow, that's a lot. I know you. I'm better friends with you now.
I know what you mean, because it's you like you say, you don't have these kind of conversations. You don't ask each other these kind of questions. So when you've got a different perspective and a third party coming in and asking you stuff, you like you say, you can end up like hearing stuff for the first time in an interview.
Yeah, and luckily no one's asked, like a really hard hitting musical composition question yet, knock on wood, that, because I would be like, you're gonna have to call Will. So I don't know.
Well, you've totally set you up. You've totally set yourself up there for me asking a really.
I knew it. The stand up in you can't not.
Yeah, exactly. I know
your mind. I know your tricks. Yeah.
But luckily, I'm also a vocalist, so I don't give a shit about all of that stuff.
Great.
Yeah,
me neither. Exactly. As long as the riff's good, I don't care. Like,
yeah. You see, what I've done there is I've managed to. I don't care. It sounds good. Let's move on.
Yeah. Hey, give me 2 seconds. I'm getting a work phone call, but I'm going to tell them to call me later.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm busy right now. Okay, we're all done. We're good. Continue.
Great. Okay, cool. But yeah, look, it's still a buzz. I mean, it's still a buzz, and like you say, talking to people all over the world, and there is that kind of little warm feeling inside that, like, wow, someone in Estonia is like wants to talk to me about my band.
Yeah,
it's like,
and I'm just like, how'd you hear about it?
Yeah,
but but it's Century Media, you dummy. Like, like, how do they hear about it? It's a huge record label. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. And it's just, I'm such an idiot with all this stuff. I'm just so small-minded. I'm just like, wow, it's so cool that this guy in Paraguay wants to talk to me. Like, I wonder why. You're just like, what do you mean why? Oh, it's so, I feel such a moron.
Well, look, I if it's any consolation, it's over 30 years since I put out my first album, and I still feel like that. I'm
okay.
Still
so it never goes away and it never gets better. Great.
Yeah, oh well, not for me. If I can, I'll still see, like, first this was the Fear was the first thrash album I ever bought, and I'm like, fucking hell, really? Mm-hmm. We're that band to you? That's insane. And just like,
yeah, it's weird,
isn't it?
Yeah, some people I've talked to have been like this is like, you're the next Slayer. Like, I must bow down to you. I'm like, stop. I mean, that's a huge compliment. I mean, I hope so, but I'm not expecting that,
Yeah.
I didn't write the record being like, yeah, I'm going to be the next Slayer and this is going to change my life and blah, 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 blah. We just made a record.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it's affecting people like that. That's very humbling. So it keeps me humble, keeps me young.
Well, exactly. I mean, I turned 50 last year, and
congrats.
Oh, thank you very much, mate.
You're halfway done, man.
Dude, I never thought I would make 50 ever.
Oh, dude, I turned 30 last year. I had like exit strategies when I was a teenager. I was like, you're not making it to 30. Like, you're just not. And now here I am. I'm like, well, I can I can knock that off my bucket list. Like I made it to 30. So now it's 40.
Well,
I gotta figure out an exit strategy for 40.
Look, Knox, I'm telling you, man, one day you will wake up and you will remember this interview when the guy talking to you said, when you hit 50, you still think you're like 30, 35. I feel exactly
I still feel like I'm 17. And then I go to the bathroom in the morning, I turn the light on, and I'm like, good God. Like, that's why my video's off, to be honest. But no, I'm kidding. But yeah, I'm just like, what happened? Just like life, the onslaught of time, buddy. Like, you feel it in your back, but not in your heart.
I heard somebody say the other day, and it's so true. It was like, yeah, time ain't kind to no one.
No.
You know, but one thing is though, the music, playing the music, being on the road, that without doubt keeps you young. Being on a bus with a bunch of dudes, you know, trying to just make each other laugh to relieve the boredom all the time. That shit never gets old.
Oh yeah, that's why touring is like such our favorite thing to do. Is that it's just like we had a drive one time from Denver, Colorado to Kansas City, Missouri. And you basically just leave Denver, go east in a straight fucking line through endless flat nothing for like 9 hours. So what do? Bust balls and listen to stupid shit and make up really bad, stupid jokes.
Yeah.
And just basically devolve into a complete moron for fun. And then you get there and you're finally like, I don't want that to end. Now I gotta play. Like I don't want to play. I want to get back in the van and keep cracking wise. And so you kind of you pull in all your stupid, you know, inside jokes and you like yell them over the mic, and it makes the boys laugh, and no one knows what the hell you're talking about, and nor do they care. Nor do they care because it's not funny to them because they just hadn't spent all that time in purgatory. Yeah,
because you develop tour speak. You develop a whole dialogue that other people don't understand.
No, and it's like that with every band, especially being on tour with other bands. They develop their own tour speak.
Yeah.
So they talk to each other a certain way. We talk to each other ourselves a certain way, and then we interact with each other. And that's 3 tour speaks. So you have your in the van speak, and then you have the general, you know, interaction between one another at the venue or whatever, and that causes its own shenanigans. So it's such a joy. It's just endless joy.
It is, isn't it? And let's be honest, you know,
even when it's bad, even when it sucks. Like I slept in a van, and I think like outside of Syracuse, New York, and there's an ice storm, and like I woke up and I couldn't get out because it was frozen, and I had to use the bathroom, but everyone else was in like this small crummy motel, and I didn't know where anyone was, so I had to shit under a tree, and during an ice storm, and I was like, this is the most miserable I've ever been. And then when I told everybody about it, like 7 hours later, it was the funniest thing that's ever happened to me. So it's okay. The worst parts are the best.
I'm just trying to, honestly, I'm thinking of you, right? Like I've got this mental image. Thanks for this, of you shitting under a tree and then, and then like just snapping it off because it's frozen.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't, I woke up super, I'll divulge a little bit more information. I woke up super thirsty, and the only thing to drink in the van was like this detox apple cider vinegar mixture drink. So I chugged it because I was like, I'm so thirsty. So I chugged it, and it just wrecked my stomach for like 4 hours. Yeah. So I went under that tree a few times, and it was just chaos. But then once I finally got control of it, and I started walking around the building to try and figure out what the entrance was, I finally walk into the lobby, and there's just a perfectly fine bathroom staring like right in front of me. I was like, oh, I just didn't go around the building far enough. I could have avoided this entire thing.
Oh man. Oh,
Good times.
yeah. Good times.
Good times.
Have you guys have you made it over to Europe yet?
No. I know Will has a few times. He used to play guitar in Red Death.
All right.
And so he's been on tour with, I think he played a bunch of shows with Forseen. He went on tour with Cro-Mags and stuff. So he's experienced all of it, but I don't think none of us, no one else of us have. I think the last tour we did, that was a full US. That was the first time our drummer and one of our guitarists had ever seen the West Coast or like the Southwest or the Pacific Northwest. Like, it's just a brand new eye-opening experience for everybody. Yeah. So that kind of injects you with the tour bug, and now you want to see everything.
Oh man, traveling is just awesome. I mean, the old traveling broadens the mind is just like, it's so true. It's so
absolutely
true. And no more, and it really hits you when you get home.
Oh yeah. Oh, getting home is the worst.
Yeah.
Because like up until recently, I moved to a very nice place with a friend of mine. So I'm sitting on the side porch, and it's actually a really nice day for once. So it's just, I'm having a good day. And it's very pretty, and it's a very wonderful house. But I've used to live in just like shithole little places. And so when you finally get home and unpack the van and drive home to your house at, 3 a.m, and then you just get there and you just look at your shitty house and you're just like, it's over. It's done.
Yes.
Like, this sucks. Like, I got to go back to work, or I got to find a new job now. Like, oh, like, yeah. This is not living. This blows.
Yeah. And I mean, it's, I when you get off the road, for me, it's like, it's almost like there's a little bit of grieving goes on. Do you know what I mean? You grieve loss of life.
Once we got back from that full US tour, I got home at 3 a.m, and I park out back. I used to park out back, and I would go through my back fence to get inside. And I just sat in the backyard for like 2 more hours, just sitting there being like, what the hell just happened? Like, I can't remember anything, yet I remember everything. But now I have to somehow like compartmentalize all of it so I can get back to doing what I was doing before I left. And I don't even remember what I was doing. Like, yeah, it's just such a clusterfuck of thoughts and emotions and stuff. So like once it's finally over, it really does blow.
It does, and it's kind of weird as well if you've got people close to you around you, and you get back and you're like, oh, and they're really pleased to see you and everything, it's a bit weird, and then you can't really sort of, what was it like? And you're like, yeah, it was great. Oh, tell me about it. And it's like, well, the stories that you've just been.
What part? Yeah, like what part do you want me to tell you about? Like, yeah, and it's like, oh, just general. I'm like, I can't. Like, that's an impossible question to answer.
Yeah.
So it's you're just like, so how'd it go? And you're just like, what? What do you mean how'd it go? Like, even if it went terribly, it went great because it was the best part of my year. Like, yeah it went great.
Yeah, and it's the thing is, it's a life that's completely unrelatable to most people. So you can't.
No, until you do it yourself, you have no idea.
Yeah.
And I've tried to explain that to family and friends and stuff, and it's just kind of lost, Yeah. And it was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, I don't expect you to. Like, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Yeah. Until like something comes up in conversation, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this one time in Toronto, and they immediately just turn off. They're just like, oh, another tour story from a place I've never been and probably will never be, Yeah. And then it just seems like you're showing off, but you're not. I'm just trying to like explain my life experience.
Oh,
And
I know exactly what you mean.
They don't want to hear it.
I know exactly what you mean about the showing off thing. You're really not. It's somebody said something that's triggered a memory that is one of your favorite memories, and you're bursting to tell it, and people are like, oh, he's showing off. You're so not.
But I mean, I think that kind of makes you find a different cluster of friends who know what you're talking about. Like, we played a bunch of shows with High Command, and then we went on tour with High Command, and I can talk to those guys about like, oh yeah, there was this one time on tour, the tour that you weren't on, this happened. Like, oh yeah, we've had that happen before. Oh, that's ridiculous. It's crazy. You should probably do this next time. That's a good idea. Like, you can just bounce ideas off of each other and like just tour story. It's like being in the military. You just trade war stories. Like I can't relate to like a World War II veteran or like some guy who shot a kid in Vietnam. Like I have no idea what's going in your head. But there's people that do, and you should probably talk to them.
Without a doubt. And you know what? There's a name for it when you get back off the road. It's PTSD, post-tour, stress syndrome. I had an acronym for that. It was PTSD. It was post-tour sad disorder, where you're just like, you're just bummed and no one knows what you're talking about. You sound crazy. Yeah.
You talk to a British guy about pooping under a tree, and just, you hope that someone knows what the hell you're going through. And luckily that British guy was there.
Do you know what, Knox? You definitely sound like a guy who's comfortable talking to the audience between songs.
I'm not.
Really?
I have nothing to say.
Dude, honestly,
because I will ramble. Our stage performance is super tight, and it's super timed, and it's super professional, and it's like, start, 3 songs in, stop, tune, but there's a sample. Knox, don't talk, because you'll talk for 15 minutes. And so, but they've laxed that a little bit, so I can yell some stupid shit.
Yeah. And
the minute that they want me to stop, they'll, turn the volume back up on their guitars. I'm like, all right, that's the red light of get off the stage.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I get it. Basically, yeah. You're not.
Okay. Shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're done here.
Yeah, it's like let's
focus.
Yeah. This is serious. We're going to lay down some serious things here.
Yeah, and especially with all the material of the album isn't happy. So you kind of have to stay focused of this grim performance, and it is a performance. I think a lot of people miss that when they're watching a live band, that it's a performance. And especially with metal, there's a whole lot of kayfabe going on. Like, you have to be bought and sold on the fact that this is not real.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's cool. It's just like wrestling.
That's a good comparison.
In that regard, I know that the drama is fake, but the physical pain is real. So you kind of have to stay centered and focused in what you're doing. So, and I guess in that regard, it is very much a job, but it's the best job in the world.
Well, the thing is, I totally agree, and B, I think you're absolutely right. It's like when you're on stage. I mean, when we play, we very much have a sense of humor and all the rest of it, but it might look like we don't care and we're just messing about, but that is really not the case. It's like,
well, you can tell when someone is messing around because it sounds like shit.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because they're just fooling around. They're just having a good time, and that deserves respect in its own right, of just people having a good time. But if you're really trying to, you know, hammer a flawless, perfect, hard, heavy, aggressive set, you can't be cracking wise in between songs and everything.
No, I get it. And there's, without a doubt, you know, ultimately the only way to get anywhere in this business is to be professional, because people don't want to work with anything other than professionals.
Right. And I think that had a lot to do with, you know, Century hitting us up in the first place, because they saw that we're not fucking around.
Yeah.
We're touring as hard and as persistent as possible, and we're working and we're constantly writing and we're constantly doing stuff to do more and to be better. And they were just like, that's the band. Like, that's the one we want to work with, because they've got the drive and the mentality and the work ethic to do it.
Yeah.
So it was just it's like it's like being at the Grammys. It's just nice to be nominated, you know. Just to be thought about is or considered as a great honor.
But that is exactly, you're right. That's exactly what a label wants. They want the band who are going to say yes to every tour that gets thrown at them, to every interview, to every appearance, to every sponsorship.
Touring is a different story, because we've and in retrospect, I wish we said no. We said yes to all of them, because we haven't toured in a year. But who the fuck knew?
Slayer knew. That's why they retired.
Yeah. I think this is all a ploy.
Yeah.
So when they come, they take 2 years off and then they come back again. Like, Kiss.
Yeah. Hello, epidemic, permanent disease.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, come on.
They knew.
We get it. What was I going to say? But we got a bunch of tours, or like offers, and some just to not even get what's it called? Just to throw our name into the hat of potential people to tour with. We were just kind of like looking at the pool and looking at the headliner and stuff, and being like, I don't think that's going to be a good fit. Like, would that work? I don't think that would work. Like, we think pretty critically about it, and like,
yeah,
it's not necessarily like, oh no, those guys look like nerds or anything. It has nothing to do with it. And like, yeah, I don't know any of these people. They could be the coolest people on the planet. So it's just like, I just don't think that's a good musical fit. It's like trying to make a playlist live. So it's just like, maybe, like, I don't really know. But then other ones are just like, that's a wild concept. That might work. You know, that would be really cool, because you would be drawing in people from all over the place in terms of, you know, fans of certain genres and stuff.
Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, that would be sick.
Yeah, but that's what you want. You want a little bit of this and a little bit of that, you know, different age groups, you know, slightly older band, slightly younger band, you know, somebody over here, somebody over there. So
yeah, I mean, like, that's like touring with Sacred Reich was such a humbling and awesome experience, because I was just like,
yeah,
we're on tour with Sacred fucking Reich, and they're the coolest fucking guys.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's just like, and so you get, you know, all the old heads coming out.
Yeah.
But you also have really young guys who are young people that are influenced by those old heads and just love the music in general. So you have a huge spread of ages from like 17 to 60.
Yeah.
Like, and they're all there and they're all losing their mind together. You're just like, that was really cool.
Yeah.
So
Phil's an absolute sweetheart, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my God. He turned me on to these lozenges called Fisherman's Friend.
Ah, yeah, the old Fisherman's Friend, yeah.
Oh my God, it's like eating dog shit, but they work.
Yeah.
He gave me a pack. He's like, I got a whole box of them. You can have as many as you want. So he gave me 2 packs, and I popped it open, and that heavy menthol smell popped out. I was like, oh my God. And then I like dumped one out, and it literally looked like a piece of rabbit shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not eating this. He's like, dude, I've got 5 in my mouth right now. Like, it'll totally help out your throat.
Well,
I was like, okay. It totally does. Totally does.
Well, we've got this thing. We've got this thing over here, which you might be able to get in the States. I'm not sure. It's called Vocal Zone, and
no, never even heard of
that. That's some cool shit. That really is. Check out, Vocal Zone. Google it. Have a look.
I'm sure I can buy it online.
Yeah, you might be able to. Yeah. I mean, I like, you know, I've got literally, if I walked in my kitchen now, I got about 10 boxes of the stuff. But they're great. They hook me up all the time. But they make tea. They make special vocals on tea, which I drank all the way in the studio. Was just like, that's all I drank when I was recording the studio. It's just vocals on tea all the time.
This is my tea. We're good here.
For listeners, Knox is drinking Miller Lite.
Miller High Life. Don't get it twisted. That is rude.
Oh, look, I do apologize. I'm not sure you have that over here.
Really? That's so strange because I spent a week and a half in the UK just to putz around.
Right.
And I think the closest, I drank a lot of Carling and I drank a lot of what's it called? Oh God, Carlsberg.
Right.
Delicious. Absolutely insanity. Straight from the tap. It's covered in ice. Oh,
yeah.
It's heaven. It's heaven.
Extra.
But even in like when I used to live in Taiwan for a little bit, and even they had High Life, but they only had it in the 32-ounce like oil drum cans. And it was really expensive because it was like this crazy import. But I was like, I don't care. Like, give them all to me.
Dude, what, Taiwan? How does one end up in Taiwan?
I have an Asian history degree, bachelor's in Asian history.
Right.
And one of my professors had one of my Asian history professors, I guess, liked me, and he was like, hey, I think you should probably continue your studies because you show a lot of promise and you show a lot of enthusiasm. His wife was Taiwanese, and he was like, I spend 6 months out of the year when I'm not teaching, I'm in Taiwan, like near, closer to her family and everything. And he was like, I really think that'd be a really good fit for you. So I think you should start doing, I don't know if you're familiar with the Fulbright program, like the scholar program.
No.
He's like, you're too old to become a Fulbright scholar because you're leaving college, but you can become a Fulbright fellow. One of the requirements, one of the ones that you haven't met yet, is that you have to live and work. You have to live and work in the area of study abroad for a specific amount of time.
Yeah.
And he was like, so here's who you should talk to. You should probably get a job. The easiest way for an American to get a job in Taiwan is to teach English to children. So he was just like, just get an ESL job. And you just have to live there. You just have to experience Asia as it is. So you have like firsthand knowledge. It's stuff that books can't teach you. So I was like, okay. And so I graduated, moved to Taiwan, taught English for a year. And then due to some family reasons I don't want to get into, I moved back. And so I've basically been trying to make it work since then. Ostensibly. And I think Enforce is the best thing that ever happened to me because it hasn't been going well. just trying to regain a footing of just basic needs being met and standards and everything, standards of life. And it's just so much more expensive and harder here than it is in Taiwan. So it's just like I miss it so much. But yeah, I'm doing the best I can to hopefully get back over there in like a touring capacity. That'd be great.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
That'd be a lot of fun.
And presumably it's as well coming back. And I mean, the last year has been pretty much shit on us all.
Yeah. It's not great. It's not ideal.
Well, although I was reading today that that Texas has decided that everything's okay now, so I think everyone's heading to Texas to tour.
I mean, Florida has acted like nothing never happened. I know a lot of friends from here who have moved to Florida because they're like, screw this. Like, there's a place technically down the road that I can go, and it's like nothing ever happened. And she's like, okay, so that's its own quandary. It's just like someone's going to have to do it. It's sooner or later. So if Texas feels it's comfortable to be open, then they're open.
Yeah, and everybody's literally watching, going, "Okay, fingers crossed."
Yeah, but they're all, half the country praises it, half the other half condemns it, and you're just like, guys, cool it, just cool it.
Yeah,
it has to happen at some point.
Well, cool and calm heads need to prevail. Oh God, I've just remembered. Yesterday, Master of Puppets was 35.
Oh yeah, happy birthday!
I know. Honestly,
that's cool.
That is so cool. Makes me feel really fucking old, having given that I saw them on that tour, and I gave Cliff our first demo.
Oh, cool! Was it? I was gonna say, since you were there, which this helps out a lot. Did they play on that tour? Did they play "Face the Thing That Should Not Be"? Because that's like their hardest song, and it just seems to be like completely ignored because it's probably super long, and that's why it's just. It was like 8 or 9 minutes.
I am pretty sure that to answer your question, I'm pretty sure that yes, they did.
Oh, that would have been great. That would have been prime to see.
Well, unfortunately, it was the tour where Jim Marshall was playing guitar for James, because James had broken his collarbone skateboarding.
Oh yeah, cool.
So yeah, Jim Marshall was doing all of the the guitar, and James was just like Mr. Frontman.
That's weird because you never see him like that, but that's pretty cool. He sang for some cover for Freddie Mercury's memorial gig. Yeah, that was weird to see him as like a front man.
I watched that live because that was at Wembley Stadium. It was broadcast live in the UK all day.
Okay, I was going to say you were there. I was like, no way.
Oh, I wish. My
favorite of those performances. I watched that thing religiously, and Seal singing "Who Wants to Live Forever" is the first time I watched it. It brought me to tears. I was like, this is perfection.
Yeah, it's
so good. That whole, and then everything with Axl Rose is the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. Such a different energy.
That was just it was an incredible event. And funnily enough, I did an interview and someone was like, what's the one band that you wish you'd seen live, and that you've never been able to see. And so I'd love to have seen Metallica with Mustaine, and it was one of those. And it was one of those. It was one of those interviews like we started out right at the beginning, and I can't remember who it was in the band, and they said, "I'd like to have seen Queen," and I was like, "Oh fuck, that was the right answer." Yeah, that's the correct answer. Or Prince. Around Purple Rain would have been incredible. Who else? Oh mate, I would have loved to have been in the audience for Judas Priest, at least in the East album. That's one of my favorite live records of all time. So I just would have, and it's flawless. So I would have loved to have seen that. Yeah, I mean, I've been to so many shows. I was lucky enough to see just about everybody I've ever wanted to see. But I would love to have seen Soundgarden in their real heyday, Super Unknown.
Oh, and like the whole 80, like not 80s, what? The whole, yeah, it's Seattle explosion
Yeah, well,
time.
probably more Bad Motorfinger, but I did get to see Chris Cornell with his own band, and just to hear the guy sing live was
Oh, I'm sure.
incredible,
Yeah,
absolutely
that's
incredible.
and that's I think to everyone listening, that's why you should go to any local show or any underground show, because
Yeah,
you have no idea what the future holds.
yeah,
You could be seeing, the rise of something like truly great.
yeah. I mean, I saw Scream in 1985, and playing on drums was Dave Grohl.
Mm-hmm.
Just
The last guy I just talked to, he talked about he couldn't talk enough about Dave Grohl. It was weird, but
weird. Yeah,
well, we were talking about because we Enforce has always played folk more so like hardcore punk shows and stuff, even though we're ostensibly very much a metal band. But it just goes to show that like a natural progression of things, you're going to get bigger and you're going to get better. And he brought up Dave Grohl as an example. I was like, yeah, he's just a hardcore punk kid, but look at him now.
well, Foo Fighters are basically the biggest DIY punk band ever. I mean, they own all their music. They only ever signed distribution deals for a couple of albums. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's DIY. Except
Yeah, it's
yeah,
it's a punk aesthetic with a very heavy pop veneer,
and
um,
yeah.
or a rock veneer. I know I have never met any of those guys, but I'm sure I know how they act because I'm a punk hardcore kid just like them, so I know how they're gonna act.
Yeah, I saw Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl is in the there's a Descendants, who are one of my all time favorite bands. He's in their
Oh, really? Okay.
documentary filmage, and you see him interviewed, and it's just like he's just a total nerd for punk,
Yeah, and he's a goofball. So,
yeah,
and like
yeah,
I think he's never lost that.
yeah.
I think he feels very comfortable in his skin, which I know a lot of hardcore people usually are.
Yeah,
Which is cool.
well, yeah, and I think that's because it's very much. Let's face it, punk is very much about just like just walking out there and doing what you do,
Yeah,
and
just be yourself. Just whatever expectation whoever's watching have. I'm sorry to let you down, but I have my own expectations, and they're just mine. If I blow your mind, that's sick. But if you don't like it, kind of don't care. I'm not like a what's it called? An industry plant band. It doesn't have to go well. It could be the worst show ever. That's okay with me.
yeah, yeah. I think ultimately that attitude is why it works, because
Right.
you just go out there and go, well, I know what I'm doing, and they're either going to get it or they ain't.
No, and if they don't, and I get run out of town, that's okay. Like it just asks for another tree story. Who cares? It's okay. It's all okay.
Another tree
We,
story. Yeah.
we've played in front of 900 people. I think that's our max so far. I think it was like 950, almost 1,000, something like that. And we've also played in front of 0 people. Like even the promoter didn't show up. He didn't even go to his own show.
Oh,
So we played to no one. And the
oh.
other bands that we played with weren't even paying attention. They were putting all their gear away. So it's just like, if you have both, what expectation do you have for anything?
So essentially it was a live rehearsal.
Pretty much. That's how we treated it.
Yeah.
But we still went hard as hell in the paint. We weren't just standing there playing instruments. We were still, headbanging and thrashing about.
Well, as I've there's one of the guys in the band is always like, well, I don't want to be able to see floor, and it's like, well, yeah, that we'd all love every gig we play to be completely fucking rammed, but that's just not the way it works. And it's not about how many people are out there; it's about who's out there, because you never know who's in the crowd. There could be a promoter out there who's looking at you for a major tour, and you're playing in front of 25 people. And he's one of them. It could be the biggest gig of your life, and there's 10 people in the audience.
You have to, if you're playing even to 0 people, it's still a performance. You're still on the stage. You're not in the practice room. You still got to act like you're doing it. And if you're doing it, let's say in that very specific situation, treat it like tour practice, where no one's there, but you're going to go as hard and as best as you can, just so the next day, maybe there's 10 people and you didn't get rusty. Like, you got to stay sharp and stay on your game. So,
and also,
never, ever half-ass it.
Well, also, if it's a small crowd and it's like, there's only 25 people out there. And I always think, do you know what? That's not their fault. And they may well have never seen the band before, and they have been waiting for, however long to see the band. And it's not their fault that the place isn't rammed.
It doesn't matter.
No.
The perfect example, we played in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Sorry, God, someone's gonna shoot me for that. Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I think there's like maybe 30 people in this kind of oddly laid out, falling apart warehouse, and that was one of the best shows I ever played. And there was like 30 people there, but the people that came were so grateful and enthusiastic that they actually got to see us, because they said it to us, like, we never thought you would be here. Why are you in Santa Fe? The stars have aligned and we finally got to see you. So I was like, that's super cool. I mean, even if that's one person, that's such a life affirming feeling. So you just kind of want to do that all the time.
Well, the thing is, as well, is that can be the gig that they remember most of all. They might see you another 3 or 4 times. The next time they see you, they may, you might be on a 20-foot high stage at a festival, and they'll always go back to that first time they saw you and go, nothing will beat that night when there was like 15 people in a bar.
Yeah, or in like a broken down warehouse. Like, it's just like, I saw this band and they're playing the same songs, but that just brings, harkens back to just genuinely heartwarming memories and stuff. So it's just so cool to have that experience. I guess it's just very humbling to have an impact on anyone's life at all.
Yeah.
Let alone all these strangers who showed up to in the middle of nowhere. It's awesome.
It always amazes me how when people rocking up and talking to you about your band and what it means to them and songs, favorite songs and things like that, because ultimately we're just fans. That's how we all started.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, totally. I completely agree.
And that's kind of like, I think if you let the business get to you, and if you become bitter, you forget that. And
right,
that's the end of it. That is when it becomes a job.
Yeah, there is a business side to it, but at the same time, that's what's really nice, to have a kind of a big safety net of a far bigger label that kind of takes care of a lot of that stuff. 9 times out of 10, they just need your permission, to pull the trigger on something.
Yeah.
So, it's I'm just forever in awe and of anything. I'll put it this way. We played Toronto for the first time, I think, in 2018 for this festival called Not Dead Yet. And we played a pretty stacked bill. Granted, unfortunately, I don't remember most of it. I was pretty hammered. But because I was just so happy to be there. I think it was our first time playing Canada. We played in front of a good amount of people. The next time we came to Toronto, we didn't play in front of that many people at all. But people were really enthusiastic and moshing and jumping off of shit. But it wasn't that many people. I think maybe 25. The third time we played Toronto, it was the same enthusiasm, but 50 people. And the last time we played Toronto, it was insanely enthusiastic to 150 people.
Yeah.
So I just I'm going to keep playing Toronto because these people are going apeshit over here. And it's growing rapidly and within a month. So that's a good model of how you can kind of stick your neck out there and it's working.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, we, I mentioned, Denver earlier, that show we played in Denver, there were 4 other shows within a 2 or 3 block radius happening at the exact same time as ours. So well, this is going to be a wash. Cause I mean, all these huge bands are playing these much bigger clubs. And we were playing like a bookstore. So we're just oh boy, this is a rough crowd. That place went crazy. And it was packed. Most of the people couldn't even see us because they were in the bookshelf aisles. And I couldn't even get to where we were playing because it was just nuts. And people were using those big, library ladders that are attached. They were using those as catapults to fly themselves off the bookcases. People were jumping off the top of bookcases and stuff. Chaos, absolute chaos. And it's just I am so happy that I now know that these people exist. How would I have known?
I mean, how the hell do you end up playing a bookstore? Is one of you launched an autobiography or something? What?
No. What is it? That was with Red Death, and their drummer Connor is in a bunch of other bands. He used to be in Protester. He plays drums in Genocide Pact. He's got some other bands going on. Innumerable Forms is another one. So he's toured the whole world wide over, and he's only 25. So he is a legend in his own right.
Wow.
He booked most of that tour. So he's when he was doing routing, he's okay, and then we should go to Denver. Well, I know a guy in Denver, so that's just where we ended up playing. So man, Red Death and Enforced playing in a bookstore, it's possible. And I'd love to do it again. It sounds crazy, but it's true.
That's insane. Yeah, I'd like a ticket for Enforced and a couple of copies of Harry Potter.
Yeah, a couple comics. Yeah, cool.
That's brilliant.
It was a wild night because I wasn't expecting anything like that, and it just became one of the most chaotic moments in that on that tour. I was just oh my god, where'd all these people come from? I thought you guys are all going to the other shows. What? Who? And then we start playing, and everyone just starts jumping off of bookshelves and shit. And you're just oh my god! But there was only one light bulb on, so I couldn't see anybody until they got into the cone of the light, and then it would just be fists, and then it would just disappear, and then come back and it'd be someone trying to grab the mic from me or something like that. So it's just dude, this is terrifying. This is just like it's very like mosh to survive like situation. Like I have to fight these people off, and they're trying to fight me too. So it's just really cool. Love every minute of it.
It sounds like some kind of like, it just sounds like some sort of bizarre kind of movie scene, you know?
Yeah, it's Bizarro World. Touring like a small DIY tour. You're gonna see the weirdest like Bizarro World shit, and you're gonna be playing in Bizarro Land. And even like the days that we had off, we booked other just one-offs, just real quick. So like that drive to Kansas City, that was supposed to be a day off, but we're like, nope, we found a house show that's going on. We're going to play that. And like, it was at the top of a hill, and the streets were covered in ice, and we couldn't get up the hill. So we had to park and lug everything up on ice up the hill. And it was a whole ordeal, but like, there was like a crowd of maybe like 40 to 60 people. I don't really know. And all in this basement. And there was a bunch of people. This is super weird. There was a bunch of people dressed like they were on Little House on the Prairie. Are you familiar with that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like checkered dresses, and like the hair's all done up and stuff. And I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And I was just like, screw it. Like, we're still going to play. Those people started beating the shit out of each other. Like, I was just like, oh my God, Little Orphan Annie is like fighting people. Like, this is crazy.
Sounds like some sort of Mormon fight club.
I know. It was very, it was like an Amish fight club. They just, yeah, I was just like, well, I'm really glad we played. We barely got paid anything. I think we sold like one shirt, but like, yeah, I wouldn't trade that experience for anything.
I'm surprised you weren't paid in like, you know, butter and milk and, you know,
or like in like barbecue or something. No, no.
Oh man.
But it's like $20 that you didn't have before.
Yeah. And you've got the experience, you've got the story to share with some guy in London on Zoom someday. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Oh man, look, Knox, this has been super cool, mate.
Eye-opening.
I've really enjoyed talking to you, dude.
World-shattering. Oh yeah, I'm happy to talk anytime.
Man, just really cool. I will. Are you on any social media?
Me personally, or the band?
Well, the band or you
Both.
Personally?
Yeah, the band. Instagram and Twitter is Enforced RVA. That's also our email account. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can hit us up on any of those.
Cool.
And then we have a Facebook page. I think it's just Enforced. I could be wrong. Yeah, I think it's just Enforced.
Cool. Well, look, I will send you. I'll send you guys all links when this comes out. But one thing I did want to ask was,
yeah,
does this feel like your debut album?
Does it feel like it? No. It only does in the sense of in the groundbreaking, like, personal life of like, you're on Century, and they're like a subsidiary of fucking Sony. Like, this is getting way bigger than you anticipated. So yes, is this important? Absolutely. Like, this is crazy. But when working with World Records for At the Walls, when I finally like got that physical LP, I had never, of all the bands I've ever done, I've never had an LP. So when I got it in the mail, and I got, the test press, I got all the color variants and stuff, and I like got this big package, and I just opened it up, and I was like, look at what you've done. This is a physical artifact of like your hard work. and I put the needle on it like really late at night when everyone was in bed, and I bawled like a baby because I just couldn't believe that I'm on an LP, and I shoved that shit in my parents' face so hard. I was just like, here it is. Like, this is, you look at this. Like, this is what I'm doing. Like, this is what I'm doing with my life. I know you hate it and you think I'm stupid, but look at this. I have an LP like that I made. So shut up. And they did, and they've been in full support ever since.
That's awesome. I mean,
it just took having a physical manifestation of what you're working on to explain. Like, I worked with other people to make this with a record label. Like, hello, like, please wake up. Like, this is real. It's not fake. This is not a hobby. It's not a pipe dream. Like, here's an LP. I can prove it.
Yeah. Here's some physical evidence.
Yeah. And, At the Walls catapulted, and now we're here with Killgrid, and like, my parents are so much more interested in what I'm doing now. And like, my mom helped with the album artwork, actually, which was,
Which, by the way, I
love it.
I'm loving both the covers. The first album, and I like the old school. It's got that old school black and white kind of underground hardcore vibe about it.
Yeah. The original one, the whole like mushroom cloud of skulls was a mushroom cloud of human faces like screaming. But I showed it to my mom, like, hey, here's the album cover. She's like, that looks like Josh Brolin. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, it looks like a constipated Josh Brolin. I was like, well, if my mom's punching holes in this like immediately, then we got to change it. Because like, now I can't unsee it.
Yeah.
And I was, so we gave it back to Joe Patagno, and I was just like, hey, just hit all those faces that you did. Same expressions, but just hit it with a flamethrower until it's like only like scalded bone. And he said, okay, okie dokie is what he said. and then 2 weeks later we got the final product, and we're like, good God, yeah, that's awesome. Having your parents like give you that brutal truth sometimes a very very good thing to have.
Well, by the sounds of it, your mum has ended up putting a pretty sick twist on that cover.
Yeah, by accident. She just said, "Oh wow, that looks like Josh Brolin taking a crap," and you're just like, "Okay, well, that's not gonna go if that's your first thought."
and we're back to taking a crap again.
It all revolves. Enforced is shit. Like it's they're synonymous. It's the same thing.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean,
without there's no doubt. I have evidence.
The thing is, as well, is that being on the road is one of those things. Given the story you were telling earlier, being on the road, I remember being in a McDonald's, and there was about like 6 of us in McDonald's, and we were kind of like sat around the toilets, and we were kind of like going in one after another, and security came over and said,
like, what are you doing?
yeah. So, okay, guys, come on. Yeah, like you're in and out of the toilets. This is kind of like fucking obvious what's going on here. And we're like, what? And he's like, well, clearly you're doing drugs. It's like, no, we're banned on the road.
I had a completely different approach. I thought it's like, okay, you're obviously sucking and fucking off in here. Like, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that in McDonald's.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, dude, we're in a band. Like, we have to do this all the time.
Yeah. We're like,
just the way it goes.
It's like, what? You think we come in here for the fucking food?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here because I know the toilet is open. Like,
exactly. We're all like showing our laminates saying, look, we're in a band.
I'm on tour. Look at this thing.
Yeah. We need to shit somewhere.
You think I want to do this? I don't want to do this. Oh God, yeah, that's so. Yeah,
It's like, dude, you're not going to have this experience again. And he was, and
yeah, but like going to truck stops and stuff at like 5 a.m. and getting beef jerky or something stupid. But the only people in there, and everyone looks haggard, but we're all wearing like all black, and our drummer and guitarist, Alex and Zach, they're completely studded out, chain boots, and it's just like, so of course you go to check out, and they just say, "Are you in a band?" You're just like, "Yes." And it's like, "Well, here's your receipt. Can you sign it?" You're just like, "Yes." Like, I'm just in the middle of Arkansas making autographs on a receipt. I just want some frog legs or whatever. Like, just stupid. It's just fun. You can't make that up. No writer can make that up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the stuff that happens on the road and in the studio as well. I mean, how are you within the studio? Because it's I've had varying experiences, but I kind of like it now. But I'm always in the mindset of what I'm doing now is so I can go on the road.
Right. I'm pretty reserved in the studio. I'm real quiet. I'm really nervous. Because I want to just do it right the first time. I don't want to get stuck on anything, because I know that, like, especially you would know it as a vocalist, like, there's only a certain amount of time. I only have like a certain window of how many times I can do this before it sounds like absolute shit. And then you have to like stop and wait, a day, and then go back after resting and trying to do it again for 4 hours or something ridiculous. So it's just like, I just don't want to. I just want to just bang this out so we're good and comfortable. But working with someone like Bob Quirk, if Bob ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. He'll tell you if you sound like shit, and he's true. Like, it's true. He's honest. And if you suck, he'll just go over the phone and just be like, "Yeah, that sounds like absolute shit. You're gonna have to do it the whole thing over again. Not one part sounded good. Nothing was strong. You sound bad." You're just like, okay, well, there goes any confidence I had.
Yeah, that's fucking harsh. I don't know if I can handle that.
You need it. And no, but I mean, we've all been recording with Bob through all of our respective bands.
Yeah,
since like 2010, 2011.
Right.
So, like, we know and love and appreciate him as a friend and as an engineer.
Right.
So I'm totally okay with him being brutally honest.
Yeah.
And as long as he's not doing it to kick you in the nuts. He's doing it because he's like, I know what you're trying to do, and you're not doing it. So just keep trying until you do it. And I'm not gonna be satisfied until you do what you want to do, or what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting to work with him, because he'll just be like, he'll just stop you like mid yell, or like shout or yowl or whatever. Just be like, sounds like crap, do it again, and just immediately plug you back in, and you just have to like be ready. And that's kind of like a thing with Bob. It's just like, be ready to start and stop at a dime, like at a second's notice, which is cool. Like, it's a very unique way of doing things.
It certainly is. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not going to make you feel good. Like, he wants you to be the best that you can be, whether that's breaking down your ego completely and making you feel like a child. But when he finally is like, yeah, that one sounded fucking sick. He was like, oh my God, like, I've made you happy.
Oh man, I think I'm more of a carrot guy, without a doubt. It sounds like
No.
sounds like you're getting enough stick for both of us.
Yeah, I'm much more in like the masochistic, like, please tell me I suck. I know I suck. Oh God, I know it's not good enough, but is this good enough? No. Oh yeah. Yeah, I know I suck. Oh, it feels so good that someone else recognizes it.
Was that the worst one? Do you think I can do worse?
Do you think I could do even worse?
Yeah.
No. Well, that sucks. Okay, I'll try now.
The thing is, as well, is the way the music, the music that we do and the way it's recorded traditionally is we're the last ones. It's like literally like, don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
cool. Thanks.
So much stuff has been like digitized, and that you can basically digitally replicate instruments and vocals and sounds and stuff like that. Like, you don't have to be, I hate to say it like this, but like, you don't necessarily have to be talented in anything to necessarily replicate it or perform or do it on an album. But how does that translate live? It's going to be a backing track, because you don't have the capabilities of actually doing what you recorded, and that kind of stinks. Because live shows could very much, and I've seen a few artists do it, where it's just a backing track and it's just them kind of prancing around on stage, and you're just like, okay, well, where's the band? Like, this would be so much cooler if it was a band, a full live band. That would be awesome to see and hear and watch. No, it's just kind of unfortunate. It seems to get more and more robotic and more soulless, but I don't think you can necessarily do that with punk and hardcore and metal. It's all about the
feel.
Virile, vicious, aggressive live show, and the anger and the angst that's explosive. I can't be replicated. So it's an experience. I hope to do more of it.
You've got to capture that. You've got to somehow capture that vibe in a vocal booth, which is like, it's just got no atmosphere. It's dead air, and you've got to.
Yeah, I was physically looking at a corner of a shelf, and I was like, "This sucks." I don't know what to do with my hands. There's no one in front of me. This is weird.
I've always got like a music stand with the lyrics on, and that's,
No. I had it like, I've got terrible penmanship, and I scribbled it all in a real thick Sharpie on a piece of paper, so now it's even more muddled. And so I'm just like, dude, I don't even know what I wrote. Like, where am I at? Oh, I gotta figure it out. Like right now, you no longer have any more time. You're just screwed from the get-go. So I gotta find a better what's it called? I have to find a better way to do this. A friend of mine, David Leonard, he's in this band Copperhead that you might enjoy. Kind of more on the he might kill me for saying this, but it's more on the Tool-esque side of music. It's something I'm not necessarily totally on board with, but I do love his band. It's like if the Tool mixed with the Melvins,
right?
And it's very good. But he's working on an album, and I help him with a few vocal tracks, and he literally just types it up in size 40 font and just prints it out on paper, and then tapes that paper onto the like soundboards that go around him.
Yeah.
So it's all there, and he just has to just shift his eyes and just read it as he does it. And I was like, why didn't I think of that? Why do I have to write it all out? Why am I writing it out in cursive with a Sharpie?
I do kind of similar. Print it all out, kind of large on the music stand. 2 copies, one for me, one for who is ever recording me. So we're both reading the lyrics at the same time, so they know what words are what, so they can pick me up on any kind of diction or that. That didn't sound right. And when you say those 2 words together quickly, it sounds like one word. And
Yeah. Do you enunciate a lot? Like, do you try to be as clear as possible?
Yeah. I really diction is a big thing for me, but I'm really big on my syllables, so I'm really like hammer the syllables. And so yeah, diction and clarity is really important to me.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot especially with more hardcore bands and stuff, that like that doesn't really play a factor.
Yeah,
it could just be like and it sounds like that, but then you have to read the lyrics. But I was like, dude, it would be great if you could figure out or hear every single word I'm saying without reading the lyrics, and you can just hear it and know what I'm saying. And I put it through the mom filter. She's like, I know what you're saying, I just don't know why you're saying it.
Yeah, but that mom filter is exactly
crucial.
The same.
It's crucial.
When I was saying to you there, when you were saying like, what do you enunciate? And I was talking about, I'm big on diction. When I was saying that to you, the voice in my head, I could hear my mother saying, and I could understand every word you were saying.
Yeah. And she's like that. She said the same thing. She's like, I don't know. I still don't understand why you're yelling, but I can hear every word that you are yelling.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, good enough for me. Like,
absolutely.
As long as you can hear me. And she's like, I can't hear every line, but I can hear most of it. Just off like a cursory glance listen.
Yeah.
I was like, good, that's great, because if someone was actually paying attention, they could probably pick up on the majority of it.
Yeah.
And that would be great.
Well, and that's important in the world we live in now. Lyric sheets and stuff like that in metal. I mean, we still sell physical product, and there's plenty of people out there. But for some people, it'll be a digital copy of the album, and there won't be a lyric sheet, and there won't be any effort made to go and hunt the lyrics down. So they need to be able to hear what you're saying.
Right. That's that. I think that may be of like a subconscious thing that I did, because I was like, I would love that, everyone bought the record, a physical copy, but I'm not going to shit all over people who bought it digitally. Why would I?
Oh.
I'm happy that you're listening to it. But yeah, that not having that insert that has all the lyrics and, the liner notes and stuff, like if you don't have that record nerd doing that, then that whole aspect is completely lost. And I think the lyrics really complement the music, and I think it really complements the album cover. So it's like, it's a whole package deal.
Yeah.
You can't have one without the other, and you can't have either without the one. So it's like this trifecta of art, I guess.
Yeah.
To put it, to put myself up there with the Mona Lisa, it's really it's really a thing, I guess.
Well, look, hey, it might not sound like art what we do, but it is art. Music is one of the arts, and part of that is very much the lyrics. I mean, no one's turning around and saying, yeah, that instrumental track saved my life and stopped me committing suicide, but people are saying that about songs that were written about suicide and don't do it.
Yeah. Iggy Pop said it best. I think he was on some, like, not Morton Downey, I can't remember, it was a really long time ago, but he was basically asked like a very skewed question and about punk rock, and he said that what you hear may sound like trashy noise, but what you're actually listening to is the mind of a genius. As someone that just completely tore apart everything, every preconceived notion that you have about music, and then reconstructed it in a completely different way. That's pioneering. That's progress. And if you don't like it, don't listen to it. Like, and that just kind of, I always think about it all the time. And whether I'm misguided or just trying to fuel my own ego or something like that. It's like, if you don't like it, well, I'm actually a genius and I know more than you. So, yeah, which is totally untrue and totally stupid.
Yeah, but ultimately, there are people that will, that do judge our music from afar as something that is that lacks depth. It's just a noise, whatever. But the truth of it is that I always say to people that what most people consider to be music is mainstream pop music, which is ultimately a beat and a melody. You move to the beat, you hum the melody, that's it. I wouldn't expect you to be able to get our music, because you need to sit down for a start and you need to listen to it and concentrate, and you need to listen to every aspect of the drums. What's the bass doing? What are the guitars doing? What are the vocals doing? What are the lyrics about? Well, that, to most people, that's like sitting an exam.
Yeah. And they don't want to do it, and they don't have the attention span or the like thought process to really dissect and digest something like that. So when people, I'm not going to get into too nitty gritty because I don't want to point fingers, but it's like someone said I had rooster vocals, which I thought was funny. I don't know what that means. I was rooster.
Right. Okay.
Like a chicken. I was like, I don't understand what you're talking about. I'm glad you have an opinion though. Like, and if you don't like it, like, maybe this isn't for you, and that's totally okay. I respect if people want to shit all over it, like, that's fine. I don't. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't care. like it's not for everyone. So if you don't like it, I don't foresee or I want like anyone to be like, they'll like dogpile someone for not liking it. Like, it's okay if you don't like it. Coming from me, it's okay. Like, you don't have to. There are a few that do. So it's not. I guess it sounds kind of like it could be construed as like gatekeeping or something like that, but it's not. It's just like, dude, if it's not for you, don't be a part of it. That's fine. So like again, going back to my mother, she doesn't like it. She doesn't like a lick of it, but does she support me? Absolutely. 10 billion%.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, just like, I don't know what you're doing, and I hear it and I hate it, but I'm so glad you're doing it because I know that you get something out of it. So keep doing it. And if you're going to do it, like, don't half-ass it. And it's like, that's the best advice.
Yeah, absolutely. And if your mum's anything like mine, she loves the chance to tell her friends when her friends are saying like, oh, my son's just got, promoted to store manager or whatever. And she's like, oh, my son's going on a world tour.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when the judgment kind of stops. It's just, oh, so what's Knoxy boy going up to? What's he up? What's he up to? He's like, well, he's on tour. He's hold on, let me look at his itinerary. Oh, I think he's in Texas right now. We can call him. And just and she has. She's like, hey, I'm playing cards with the ladies. What are you up to? I was like, I'm in Idaho.
I'm shitting under a tree.
Yeah, I'm in Idaho. And she's like, "Oh, cool. How is it? We've never been to." She shoves it in so many people's faces. So it's so funny to see. It's just like, he's living a very unconventional lifestyle that no one really seems to approve. But of course, it's my mother, so she's going to hopefully love me unconditionally.
Yeah.
And just so she like, oh God, I don't want to use real names. It's so hard not to. But it's like, my son, Jeffrey, he just got promoted. He's now an IT manager. So he's making $10,000 more a year today. Like, isn't that great? He's like, what's Knox doing? Oh, he's living in a basement, and he just bought a dumb car that he didn't need, but he's also, got a big record coming out that's like one of the most anticipated albums of the year. So, and you're just like, yeah, shut up. Fuck face. She just rides so hard for what me and I don't want to exclude him. My brother is also a very talented musician. So she just loves to just push all of our success into other people's faces. You're just like, oh, he's still living in that basement, huh? It's like, yeah, but he's got a number one record. Well, hopefully. But, so shut up. Like, he's living a far better life than the IT guy.
And well, the thing is, as well, is it's something from a parent's point of view. It's something to be incredibly proud of. It's what you want for your kids. You want your kids to do something that not everybody can do. Yeah. To do something different, to do something original, and truly find your own path in life. And that isn't just like standing on your own 2 feet and getting a mortgage and that. Okay, that's a path, but truly finding your path in life.
Well, I think that's just a part of a path, I guess. Like being stable, that's a path on its own. But if you're trying to do something that's unstable, you have to find some type of stability, hopefully, that you can fall back on just in case. Like I have a full universal HVAC, air conditioning certification. It cost me $400. I had to pass the test, and I did it. Now that I have that, I will literally never be unemployable. I can always find a job of doing something I absolutely hate, but I know how to do it.
Yeah.
And if the whole world shits the bed, it's gonna get hot. Yeah. And I'm gonna be able to fix that goddamn air conditioner. So I've made myself employable forever. And it wasn't hard. Or I mean, it was hard, but in retrospect, it didn't take like a heavy toll on me to try and do this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, that's my safety net. That universal certification is my safety net. But now that I have that safety net, let me go and do whatever the hell I want. And if it all fails, and if I do my best and I try hard and it doesn't work, at least I tried. I'll go do HVAC and I'll be happy to do it,
Yeah. Yeah. And in between then in between then, you could go on and have gold records, or you can end up fixing air conditioning, but you will still have stories that people will sit open mouthed listening to going, you did that?
Yeah. I will have lived a life worth living, I guess, instead of just putzing around. I mean, what's a random stupid number? It's making $75,000 a year and being comfortable, but not really doing anything.
Yeah.
And then like, oh, you're going on vacation. Do y'all call it holiday there?
We do.
Okay, you're going on holiday, and where you go? Tropical place. Okay. Oh, wow, big surprise. Like, did you go to Iceland? Did you backpack through Europe? Did you try and survive in the like Siberia? Like,
no, we went. He's like, no, we went to Cancun.
No, yeah, we went on a cruise, and you're just like, that's so boring, dude.
You went on an all-inclusive floating hotel.
Yeah, as if your life wasn't easy enough to get away from the easiest, you just got even easier. And you're just like, dude, the best part is making your life hard. You got to make your life hard.
Although there will be people listening to this going, you see, that's why I'm not in a band. That sounds fucking horrible.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Back to my mother. She's like, I don't know how you do it. You couldn't pay me enough money. Gun to my head, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, you're missing out on a lot.
I tell you, mate, I seriously, my mum and your mum should get together sometime and
one day
and sink a few beers, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, when you guys get over to the UK, because you will on the back of this album. When you get over here, and you're hitting London, I'm coming down. I'll hit you up. I'll remind you that we spent this hour and a half, believe it or not.
I've missed 2 interviews already, and you know what? They can just be rescheduled. This has been by far, bar none, the best conversation I've had since January.
Oh man! Oh, that's
I feel so much better. I feel like I just went to therapy. Like I just feel so much better about everything. Cool.
Oh, that's so good to hear. That really is.
Truly.
Well, if it's, I was supposed to be elsewhere like about half an hour, 40 minutes ago, and I was like, I'm getting messages on my phone. I know I am, but I haven't read any of them because I was just lost in the conversation, dude. So
and it's just totally
right back.
I mean, that's the beauty of a good conversation. It shouldn't end.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, well, you know, I'm in lockdown over here, so for me, this has been like a night out.
Yeah. This is I'm already getting PTSD post transatlantic sad depression. I know this conversation has to end, which is unfortunate.
Oh, dude, it's the way it is. It's the way it is. But you know what? It's been an absolute pleasure. It really has. And I wish
pleasure is all mine.
Look, I wish you all the luck in the world. The album's going to take you far, and look,
I hope so.
We'll see. Good luck, man. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No, it's all
a pleasure meeting you and having a great conversation with you, Howard. I appreciate it.
And you, Knox, been great. You take care now.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye bye.
See you on the road.
Cheers.
And listening back to it, it's at the end there. It really is. It's like listening to a breakup, isn't it? As we part ways fleetingly. I mean, what can I say? That was just, well, look, you heard it. I'm not going to go on about it. I'm not going to do what I always criticize other podcasts for, which is you do the interview and then they just sit there and talk about the interview. And it's like, well, yeah, I was listening. I don't need you to fucking break it down for me. I've got a brain and ears, and you've got brains and you've got ears. So you don't need me to be your fluffer and go on and on about it. What I will say was it was just such great fun. And it just, we just hit the ground running, man. You know, I mean, it's like, you know, within minutes, it's the shitting under the tree story. I'm doing it, aren't I? I'm doing it. I'm doing exactly what I just said I wasn't going to do. What a tosser. Right. Okay. And start again. That was fucking fun. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't happen very often. And hopefully we'll end up on a bill somewhere together. And we sit down and talk each other's ears off and ignore everybody else. But yeah, honestly, it was just so much fun. And I really hope you enjoyed listening to that, as much as I enjoyed doing it. So this is the part of the podcast which is the wind down, nay, the end. Coming up to what? Just under. Well, it's 1 hour, 54 minutes and 30 seconds. Just gone past there, in case you were wondering where you were at. And please do share this. Please do get involved, because you people listening, you are the street team. You are the record label, okay? It's you guys spread the word about the podcast. You can do a way better job, well, than I can, because there's more of you, okay? Please, give me a share, give me a like, give me a recommendation, whatever it is that you can do to help. That would be awesome. I would really appreciate it. Even signing up at Patreon, which I said I wasn't going to mention. In fact, I think I even promised, but you know what a promise is worth from me? Fuck all. So yeah, I thank you all for listening. I'm really just still loving it. You know, still loving doing this. In the 7th year, and if anything, it just gets better and more fun. And got some great interviews coming up for you over the next few weeks. Got some really great stuff, some absolutely out there left of field that you will not be expecting. I mean, it's a lot of fun to be had coming up. So please do tell everybody you know about it, and hopefully we can grow the podcast together, better together. That would be awesome. If you can help out, I would really, 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 really appreciate it. So anyway, all that remains to say is, wherever you are, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. I haven't done that for a while, have I? Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for letting me be in your ears. Because it's always a pleasure. It's a privilege. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whether you're at work, whether you're at home, whether you're in lockdown, whether you're locked out, whether you're COVID-19 positive, whether you're COVID-19 negative, whether you're taken the vaccine yet, even bless the anti-vaxxers. Hey, bless them. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are the anti-vaxxers, for they are not vaccinated. Although if they travel around the world, they will take a malaria jab. But there you go. Weird, huh? Actually, I'm going to share this with you. Fuck it. Why not? All right. No one's listening now anyway. You know, everyone's listening to the interview, fucked off. So this is just you and me now, right? I discovered a part of Patreon the other day, where people are asked exit interviews about you know, why they left. And I didn't even, I've been on Patreon for over 3 years and I didn't even know this section existed. It's like buried. So anyway, I got it. I was looking through and it's like, all right, okay, cool. Yeah, that's really cool. And then I saw one and I was like, oh, that stands out. You know, there was nobody saying like, you know, it's shit or anything like that. It was just like, oh, you know, my circumstances changed or blah. It was genuinely really cool. But then there was this one in there and it was one guy who'd left and it just said, fuck you and your vaccine rant, you conceited twat. And it absolutely made me howl. I was just like, oh dear, triggered. I mean, all I've said is that, you know, the two things that have elevated mankind to the top of the food chain are clean water, the ability to purify it, and vaccines. Yeah, and I'm sorry, but that's just facts. That is fact. And I don't mean like fake news or alternative facts. That is stone cold scientific fact. But, you know, someone got triggered and, you know, oh, angry at facts. Oh, damn you, logic. Damn you, science. Yeah, got all triggered and stormed out and took their $5 a month with them. But look, what made me laugh was of all of the questionable things that I say on this podcast. No, it was that. That was the, you know, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. None of the multitude of potentially offensive things like spout off on many times, many episodes. But no, it was vaccines. Yeah, the thing that mankind has created so it doesn't die in massive numbers. Brilliant, eh? But hey, there you go. What can you do? You can't please all the people all the time. You can only please some of the people some of the time. And that's what I'm trying to do. So hopefully, if you're still listening, I mean, I know one person who won't be listening, that's for sure. Well, may have been listening up to that point, but then he'll have had another meltdown and got triggered and have to go and lie down for a bit. But thank you all for listening, and I really do appreciate every single one of you. And whenever people share stuff or wherever get comments saying, "Oh, enjoyed this," honestly, it makes my day. And the fact that anyone downloads this and listens to it is just so satisfying. It really is. So look, thank you very much to all of you for listening. Share wherever you can, but most importantly, look after yourselves, look after each other, and I will speak to you again in a couple of weeks. See ya.